Hey guys, Max here with Odd and Unexplained, and today isn't one that's so much unexplained as it just is odd to me. How many have heard of Lake Nyos in northwest Cameroon, Africa? I have never heard of it until today, and when I did hear of it, it was just fascinating. It is a lake that blew up. It exploded. So a little bit about this lake before we get into it. Is a meromictic lake. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Which means basically the water's stagnant. Now, underneath this lake is a volcanic activity magma pool, and carbon dioxide leaches into this lake. Meromictic lake means that, from what I gather, the water doesn't move, so the carbon dioxide just sits there at the bottom of the lake. Doesn't move, it just soaks into the water, it dissolves into the water where it's cooler, where the temperatures are lower. So, Lake Nyos is a crater lake, and it's kind of sizable. It's no little body of water. Its depth is about 680 feet, with an area of 390 acres. So, for many years, many years, we're talking thousands from the few articles that I've read, carbon dioxide has been leached into the water in Nyos Lake. I think I can put this into terms that most people can understand. For every gallon of water, 5 gallons of carbon dioxide is crammed into 1 gallon of water. So it goes like this. And make sure I'm in frame when I draw this, okay? So here we have, am I good? Yeah. Okay, so here we have 1 gallon of water, right? And most people probably already understand what I'm trying to say. But then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gallons. But instead of water, this is carbon dioxide, CO2. And for every gallon of water, you have that much CO2 crammed into it. And for those that might not understand, CO2 is what makes sodas fizzy, right? So that much CO2 crammed into 1 gallon of water, just imagine shaking that bottle up and how it would want to explode and everything. So that's what happened to this lake, limnic eruption. What they believe eventually basically shook up the lake to make it explode was a landslide. There's a few theories, or it could have been volcanic activity underneath the lake shaking up, an earthquake. They think that's pretty unlikely. But apparently this lake was so volatile and packed with CO2 that as much as some rain could have caused it to explode. Now, this lake actually exploded on the 21st of August, 1986. The eruption killed 1,746 people. Well, the eruption didn't so much kill the people as the leaking of carbon dioxide did. And this also killed 3,500 units of livestock, about. So when this thing exploded, it launched a column of water 300 feet into the air. And this made the top of the lake fizzy, like, when you shake up a soda and you open up the soda. That caused a tsunami, a little mini tsunami, with a wave of 80 feet to go over the lip of the lake and flood a lot of the land around it. That's kind of amazing to me that there was this much energy crammed into the water from the carbon dioxide. Okay, so when the limnic eruption occurred, 1.2 cubic kilometers of gas, or 0.29 cubic miles of it, were released. This gas cloud rose at a fast speed out of the lake at about 60 miles an hour. That's pretty crazy. So this cloud of CO2 spilled over the northern side of the lake, down 2 valleys on that side. And in that valley, in those 2 valleys, were a few villages, which included the Nyos village, Cam village, Cha village, and the Subum village, wiping out almost everybody in these villages. For example, just how devastating this cloud of CO2 was. The Nyos village had a population of about 800 people. Only 6 survived. That's like crazy to me. So for about 14 miles, a mass of 160 foot of CO2 traveled downward at anywhere from about 12 to 30 miles per hour. This is all on Wikipedia, by the way. You should probably just go read that. One of the strange things that happened in this event was some of the water deep down in the lake was rich with iron. And when the lake water was churned from the fizzing, or the geyser, basically caused by the explosions of carbon dioxide, this water was iron rich, and it turned red. So the lake turned red, and there's this. Some eyewitness accounts say that there was this weird sort of starchy stuff that settled that looked like what I imagine kind of what War of the Worlds was like when they were spraying the red mist down. And it's kind of really eerie to think about. The event was suffocating people up to 15 miles away from the point of the Limnic explosion. All right, guys, before I leave, there is a story of a survivor named Joseph Nyos, and his story is pretty amazing. The version that I read is on www. Probably don't need to say that. DIBUSSI.com. Debussy. And it's thought of as one of the best, if not the best, account of sort of heavy dioxide poisoning that there is from a survivor. And his story is really traumatic. It's really eerie. I'm just going to give you a short little what I remember from it right now. Definitely go read it, though. Just search in Google Joseph Nyos. Joseph, and then his last name is Nkwain, and it'll come up. But he remembers being sort of out of it in his home, and he remembers his daughter breathing really irregularly in her sleep, and then he fell asleep or he passed out, and then when he came to, she was dead, and he went outside, and the little village was just in ruins. And he somehow got out of there on a motorcycle. And really interesting. Go read that. It's bizarre to read. But it didn't take long for me to find some of the more outlandish people saying that this is a government conspiracy. This is a nuclear test in the lake. This is them purposely setting off the magma chamber underneath the lake. To me, that kind of sounds outlandish. I think it is explained. It just makes sense to me that 5 gallons of dissolved carbon dioxide per 1 gallon of water would be very, very volatile. And I wouldn't want to be the one that shakes that jug, and just imagine a lake full of it. So, yeah, it was just a chain reaction of crazy amounts of carbon dioxide. Shaking the soda bottle, it explodes. So that's it for Odd and Unexplained.